The following program is part of a continuing series of dialogues with major figures in world religions sponsored by the Department of Religion of the University of Vermont. And today we're very fortunate to have with us as our honored guest Shri Чинмој. Shri Чинмој is recognized as a foremost figure in world religions today. He is a poet, a philosopher, a very prolific writer, an artist, and a wonderful teacher and musician. He was born in the province of Bengal in India in 1931, and he studied with Sri Aurobindo at the Aurobindo ashram for a period of approximately 20 years. He came to the United States in 1964 with the Indian consulate in New York, and he inaugurated a series of lectures in 1968, which he has continued now lecturing all over North America. And he has founded a number of centers, study centers, Shri Чинмој centers. I believe the number is now somewhat over 60 throughout North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. Among his great accomplishments, including the authorship of over 400 books, includes his interest in athletics. He is recognized as one of the patrons and inspirers of the whole field of physical fitness and running, marathon running especially. And today I would like to speak to Shri Чинмој about his background, his early training, and especially about his work at the United Nations. I'd like to begin the interview, if I may, with a question about your own background and your own spiritual training, especially that relating to Sri Aurobindo.
Okay. Fortunately, I was born in a spiritual family. My parents were spiritual, and my brothers and sisters were spiritual. So it was quite easy for me to accept the spiritual life. When I was quite young, I was brought by my elder brothers to the Sri Aurobindo ashram, and there I had spent about 20 years in spiritual discipline along with physical activities, athletics and sports and so forth. At the ashram, Aurobindo ashram, the physical fitness was of paramount importance. Here also I ask my students that physical fitness is of supreme need. If early in the morning I suffer from headache or stomach upset, I will not be able to pray and meditate. And if I have sound health, I will be able to pray and meditate. So first thing first is spiritual life. And if anything helps in the spiritual life, we shall have to accept it gladly and gratefully. No, I was only one of the, say, hundreds of students. I studied his philosophy and I prayed and meditated. I was quite young. When I came to the ashram, I was 12 years old. And I was fortunate enough to be accepted by him. In those days, youngsters were not allowed to come to the ashram. As a matter of fact, I came to the ashram when I was 2 years old, 4, 6, and I was not allowed to stay permanently. When I was 12 years old, I was allowed. Those children were not allowed to stay there permanently.
Do you see your own work and spiritual discipline as a continuation of Aurobindo's work?
That is a difficult question. It is not actually the continuation, but where there is truth, we try to abide by the truth. We try to offer the divine services to mankind. You see, truth, Indian philosophy, Indian spirituality, Indian self-giving, let us start it seriously, soulfully, with the Lord Sri Krishna. The Sri Krishnas accepted the world. Before that, we heard about the Vedic seers and so forth. We have no actual idea whether, we can't say categorically whether they are for the world acceptance or for world rejection. In some of the Upanishads, in the Vedas, you will see they are asking us to accept the world. And again, in the same Vedas, they may ask us to renounce the world. Whereas in the Bhagavad Gita, in the song Celestial, we clearly know that he wanted us, Lord Krishna wanted us to accept the world. So Sri Aurobindo's path was the acceptance of the world reality. And his yoga was integral yoga. He accepted the life. Similarly, there are other spiritual masters as well who accepted the life. In my case also, I ask my students to accept the life. So if you say continuation in a broad sense, it is true, but it is not exactly that I am following his path or carrying his message far from it. Because I have to be very frank, my real guru is the Lord Supreme, and whatever message, inner message I get from within, and I try to execute it outwardly. So Sri Aurobindo was my master in my formative years before I was fully aware of my own realization, and then I started developing free access to my beloved Supreme, who is everybody's all, who is absolute Supreme, and it was he who commanded me, my inner pilot, to come to the West and to be of service to his Western children. So I am only following his dictates.
How does your inner pilot speak to you? For those of us who don't hear that clearly, it's hard to understand.
My inner pilot can speak to me even in my Chittagan vernacular. He can speak to me in English. He can speak to me through light message. He can, at this moment, he can take the form. He is form with form and again without form. He is with attributes and without attributes. So it entirely depends on him how he appears before me and gives me the message. Do this and don't do that.
Now I have a question regarding yoga itself, the path of yoga. You're recognized today as one of the foremost philosophers and teachers of yoga, especially in the West. And if you could say a few words about the path of yoga, that would be very helpful.
Yoga, as you know, is a Sanskrit word. It means union with God. Now, there is a great difference between conscious union and unconscious union. Here, millions, billions, and trillions of human beings are on earth. There are again countless human beings are not conscious of their souls. Again, there are quite a few who are deeply interested in their souls. They want to go back to the source, or they want to have a glimpse of the source. So those who practice yoga consciously will sooner or later go to the source and have a free access to the source. Whenever you do something consciously, we get the result convincingly. But if you do it unconsciously, then we may not get the result, and again, if you get the result, we may not appreciate it. And if we do not appreciate, then we cannot make profit. We cannot get any benefit from any life. So we have to value the spiritual life. And in order to value the spiritual life, we have to be conscious of the spiritual life. I have to be conscious of you first, as a professor. Then I have to value your wisdom, that vast wisdom you have. Then if I value your wisdom, then only I can go back, I can come to your source and know. If I don't value who you are, what you are, how am I going to realize your capacities? So the yoga starts with conscious oneness, with the reality, with the supreme source. And in order to do that, we have to pray, we have to meditate.
See, there is a little confusion about the different paths of yoga: bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga. Do you see them all as aspects of one basic discipline? Or?
They are all intermingled. They are all together. They lead us to the same goal. Each individual practices, if he is a seeker, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and all these yogas they practice. but only he gives more importance to one yoga than the rest of the yogas. When you pray, prayer itself is a form of yoga. And when you pray, it is not our bhakti yoga. We are offering our devotion to our Heavenly Father. And then, is there anybody who does not work to maintain his livelihood, or he has to do something? So while he is doing, if he is consciously doing, then it is karma yoga. He is offering the result to God. He is cheerful. He has either consciously he is doing or unconsciously he is doing. Either he is doing it soulfully or reluctantly he is doing it. But he is doing the job. So now daily everybody has to work. So while he is working, if he does it unreservedly, unconditionally, then he is doing his karma yoga. And every day he is studying. It can be ordinary studies, it can be meditation, inner meditation. He is deeply absorbed in something. Then that is his gnana yoga, inner wisdom. Gnana is knowledge, wisdom, inner wisdom. So each seeker is practicing karma yoga, gnana yoga, bhakti yoga, and other yogas. But only he may like one particular yoga more than the other. That is what it is. So, our path is the path of love, devotion, and surrender. So if you love someone, then we know it is the wisdom that has dawned on us. Why do I love an individual? Why do I love you? Because wisdom has dawned in my aspiring consciousness that you and I are one. Our source is God. So then if I know you as a friend or as an individual who is all the time walking along eternity's road, then will I not serve you? I am walking with you in the street, along the road, and you need something, I'll come to help you. And when you need something, I come and help you. And when I need, you come and help. Along eternity's road, two sons are walking together. And when I need something, you give me. When you need something, I give you. So that is devotion. Means to a supreme cause, we are devoting ourselves. We are going towards the destination, ultimate destination. So we need each other. You need my help, I need your help. So I am devoting myself to you, to the supreme, and you are devoting yourself to the supreme in me. So this is devotion. Then while along walking, marching, or running along eternity's road, we feel the supreme necessity of surrender. Sometimes we feel that we are doomed to disappointment. Our speed is not satisfactory. We want to run the fastest, but we are unable to run. Then you offer the result soulfully. So that surrender is not the surrender of the African slaves. They are forced to surrender. Here we are not forced. Here only willingly giving our capacities, what we have and what we are. This cheerful giving of our capacities is our surrender. So when you surrender to the ultimate reality, we are showing our inner wisdom. A tiny drop enters into the ocean. What happens? It becomes the ocean itself. You as an individual, I as an individual, only a tiny drop. But when you enter into the ocean, you become the ocean. An ordinary individual will see the drop, entering into the ocean is totally lost. Look at the surrender. His surrender has been totally captured by a larger reality. But it is not true. As soon as the individual, little I or little drop, enters into the ocean, it becomes the ocean itself. We can't see its tiny individuality, tiny personality. It becomes the mighty ocean. At that time, you become the ocean of wisdom, I become the ocean of wisdom. So, if we practice love, devotion, and surrender, we practice all the yogas. As I've said right from the beginning, while you were walking along eternity's road, here I'm serving you, you are serving me. Why am I serving? Because wisdom has dawned. that you and I are one, we have come from the same source. And while walking along, so we feel the necessity of our surrender to the will of the highest reality. So all the yogas we practice when we practice love, devotion and surrender. And yoga is oneness, oneness within, oneness without. If I feel my oneness with you inside, then only outwardly I will do everything for you.
How would you characterize the role of a teacher or a guru on this path? Is it possible to surrender to a teacher or surrender to the ultimate through a teacher? Or how does that work?
No. Here there is a great difference between a school teacher and a spiritual master. A school teacher will examine the student and will teach the student, no doubt, but examine. And then if he does well, he will secure good marks. If he does not, then he will fail. But a spiritual master or a private tutor, he will teach the student privately and secretly, untiringly, unreservedly. And then he will say, now stand before ignorance sea. Ignorance sea will examine you, taste you, tempt you. You have to be the conqueror of ignorance sea. So here, the spiritual master is a private tutor. He will illumine the student privately through his inner meditation, inner light, and then will say, now my child, go and face ignorance and conquer ignorance. So this is the difference between a school teacher and a spiritual master. And also real spiritual master will tell his students, his disciples, that he is not the master. The real master is God. He is only a representative. As here the president is here, then he has got ambassadors and so many others to represent him in different parts of the world. So here, God, the Absolute Supreme, has these spiritual masters as his representatives for those who are willing to be in their boards. Say, I happen to be a teacher, spiritually. Then, in my board, he has, out of his infinite bounty, he has given me a board. And he says that these people are meant for your board. Then there are other spiritual masters. He will grant them also boards. Then he will say, now you carry your passengers. The passengers that are meant for your board, you have to carry them, bring them to the destined shore. So, but we are only his messengers. Boatmen you can call or messenger boy. You are just carrying the messages from this world to the other world. The messenger, spiritual master is nothing but a messenger boy who is faithfully carrying the messages from both the worlds. Here, when I am with my students, I take their cries, you can call imperfections, their bondages, to my beloved Pilot Supreme, and from him I bring smile, peace, and bliss, and I offer. From here I carry one thing to him, and from him I carry something else to my spiritual children. So I am a messenger boy.
How many true teachers or gurus are active in the world today, in your estimation?
In my estimation, there are very few. We can count them even on fingertips. Unfortunately, I will not be able to tell you who they are. But, you know, it happened that once Swami Vivekananda, the great Swami Vivekananda, was asked by many seekers to come and visit their masters, for they are all avatars, the master of the highest height, the direct descendant of God. It was in East Bengal, East and West Bengal. So he passed a remark. In East Bengal, the spiritual masters of the highest height, or avatars, are grown like mushrooms. Means everybody considers his master to be the highest, absolute. It is, in a sense, it is good. You will have faith, but unfortunately, if your master is fraud, is not sincere, then you pay the penalty. But unfortunately, there are not many spiritual masters who can really guide human destiny to perfection.
Well, we've talked a bit about the characteristics of a teacher. How about the characteristics of a student? What qualities do you look for in your students?
Sincerity is of paramount importance. Then comes determination. Then implicit faith in their spiritual acceptance of life, in their acceptance of spiritual life. If they are not sincere, then it is of no avail. They will not be able to go very far. Sometimes one is sincere, but he does not have the necessary determination to conquer his weaknesses. Suppose an individual commits something wrong repeatedly. He tells you, I've done this, no, I've done something wrong, but that does not help. He is better than someone who is a liar. But if I say, I have done this, something wrong, I have stolen, but it does not go very well. I have to have the determination not to steal once more. So this is determination comes into the picture. Today I am sincere, tomorrow I have to be fully determined not to commit that Himalayan blunder in my life. Then comes the faith in me that I can be a chosen instrument of my beloved Supreme. Each individual is an instrument, either conscious instrument or unconscious instrument of God. Then the seeker has to feel that he is supremely chosen by the Absolute Supreme to become his instrument, him to please or him to manifest in his own way. So this is what I expect. These are the things I expect from my students. First, the student has to be extremely sincere. Then he has to be fully determined not to commit the same mistake over and over again. Then he has to have implicit faith in his life that his source is the Supreme and he is a chosen, supremely chosen instrument of the Supreme to manifest the Supreme on earth. So these three major qualities, if one has, then I gladly accept him as a student of mine.
Do you see any difference or special characteristics in North American students as opposed to students in other countries, specifically India? In other words, would your program of study and instruction be different, especially geared for North American students?
No, it won't be, because our path is the path of the heart. See, you are an American and I'm an Indian, and you can see, you can feel I have a free access to your heart. And you have a free access to my heart. You are a seeker, I am a seeker. Here we are in the television studio. I am not finding any difficulty, in answering your question or in entering into your heart and soul, in entering into a life of aspiration and dedication. And I feel the same. You also don't find any difficulty in entering into me and examining me whether I am sincere or I am of any service to you. So here the role of the heart that counts most, not the mind. If you use your mind, you may suspect me. If I use my mind, I will suspect you or I will doubt you. But we are not using your mind, I am not using my mind. I am using my heart, you are using your heart. So here, we perfectly, fit in. Means you are offering your good thoughts, good will, good vibration. I am offering you my good will, good thought, good vibration. So here it is not the country. It is the acceptance of reality based on the heart and not on the mind. Because you are all heart and I am all heart, so no matter which country you come from, we perfectly fit in. Which we can easily exchange our thoughts, ideas, feelings, our inner capacities, awareness, realization without any difficulty. Because heart is oneness, and oneness is satisfaction, and satisfaction perfection. So if it is a mind, mind is division. Only when the light enters into the mind from the heart, through the soul, from the soul through the heart, when the light enters into the mind from the soul through the heart, the mind is illumined. Before that is not. But the heart, the soul has a free access to the heart, and the heart also has the free access to the soul. So the heart is most of the time is illumined. So when we offer our hearts to each other, then we are perfectly safe and we fulfill each other in a divine way.
I have a question now, which I'm sure is asked to you very often, concerning the doctrine of reincarnation. And I've read your writings on this subject, and I would like to, actually I wrote down something that you wrote and would ask you for clarification on this. You wrote, "Unless and until we reveal and manifest the highest divinity within us, our game is not over. We have not finished our role in the cosmic drama. So we have to come back into the world again and again. In one of its incarnations, the soul will fully realize and manifest the divine." That's a beautiful thought. Could you elaborate on that?
You see, even in our ordinary life, we want to be fulfilled. Suppose I have accepted the desire life. There are two lives, desire life and aspiration life. In the desire life, what happens? We would like to have one house, then two houses, three houses, or one car, two cars, three cars. Or we want to get, first we want to complete our high school, then college, then university. That is not enough. Then we want to have more knowledge, more wisdom. No, but in order to complete this whole thing, we see that it requires time. Suppose in 10 years we want to complete it, we can't do it. We need 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years to complete whatever. In the spiritual life also, when you start with aspiration, we try to get an iota of peace, an iota of love, iota of joy, iota of satisfaction. It is so difficult. Then when you get an iota, we are not satisfied. We like to have more, most. Light, more light, abundant light, infinite light. And infinite has no bound. So in order to get this infinite light or infinite wisdom, infinite peace, we have to deal with time. Time is a great factor here. We can't achieve this in the twinkling of an eye, or overnight we cannot get it. So to get everything in life, we see the time as a great factor. In order to get your master's degree, you have studied 20, 25 years. Now if you wanted to get it, when you were in the kindergarten, nobody would have granted it. So reincarnation is absolutely necessary. If the seeker wants to do something, become something, grow into something. If you want to do something, means you have to do something. You have to become an instrument, or you have in every walk of life, somebody wants to achieve something, do something, and create something, manifest something on earth. So here you want to do something, and time comes right in front of you. If it comes in only fleeting seconds you can't achieve. But if it comes in, say, a few days, or a few weeks, or a few months, a few years, then you are able to accomplish. Not just because I have not done something today, because of short of time, I can't say that tomorrow I won't be able to do it. People here make a mistake that if I can't do something today, then forget about it, I'll never get it. I'll never be able to accomplish it. No, I'll be given chance again and again to accomplish it. First day I could not learn the alphabet. The ABC, I could not learn it. Let us say in 10 minutes. But the second day or third day I learned it. But if I had stopped learning because I could not learn it on the very first day, then I would not. But no, I will be given chance again the following day, and then I learn it. So reincarnation is a time factor. If you have not accomplished something, then you have to accomplish it. Now there is only one thing to accomplish, not many things. In the desire life, there are millions of things to be accomplished. But in the spiritual life, in the aspiration life, there is only one thing. When you think of reincarnation, in a proper sense of the term, it is a spiritual reincarnation. It means a life of aspiration. God sends us into this art arena not only to make name and fame and to have earthly prosperity. Far from it. He sends us in order to realize. He sends us here to make us feel that we have a source. We came from infinity, and here on earth we have to carry the message of infinity. We came from immortality, here on earth we have to carry the message of immortality. We came from eternity, here we have to carry the message of eternity. Like that. So these messages we can't offer in one day. We can't be aware of these messages even in one incarnation. So we come again and again. This time we carry a few messages, most striking messages, and that is not enough. And then we go back, again we bring back more messages, most stunning, illuminating and fulfilling messages. So reincarnation is absolutely necessary for the individual seeker. As in ordinary human life, it takes years to get the highest degree diploma, not in one day. Similarly, to realize God in full measure, it takes time, it can't be done. In order to get earthly knowledge, we spend years. And in order to get heavenly wisdom, we don't have to spend a few incarnations.
If I understand you correctly, then once perfection is realized and the divine is fully manifested through the human form, then reincarnation is over for that particular soul?
No, it is not over, far from it.
No?
Then it again depends on the Supreme will. You become perfect. And again, there is no end to our perfection. We call it perfection and transcendence, self-transcendence. You become perfect. God is infinite. Again, His infinity is increasing, according to my inner vision, inner realization. God is eternal. Again, His eternity is increasing. He is infinite, is eternal. All the time, He is transcending Himself. We call God is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, and everything. But His omniscience is increasing. His omnipotence is increasing. Everything is increasing. God is both static and dynamic. When He is dynamic, He is all the time creating Himself. When He is static, He is eternal. He is the same, absolutely the same, golden Purusha. But He is spreading His wings, let us say. So you can be an excellent player, let us say tennis player. When you started at the age of 6, you are not an excellent player. But over the years, you have become an excellent, perfect player, let us say. Then do you give up? You can give up if you want to. But no, you won't. You want to continue. So here also, you can be an excellent professor. You can give up. Well, now your goal, at your adolescent, your goal was to become an excellent professor. Now you have become excellent professor. Now you can give up. But again, if you say, no, I have to offer wisdom to my students. They need it badly. And also I am authorized, I am asked by my inner pilot to be of service to him in my students. Then you continue. But if the inner pilot says, no, my son, you have worked very hard, now you can take rest, now I will have somebody else to do your job, let him become the professor, let him illumine the students. It entirely depends on his will. We can't say that if you have become perfect in one thing, that our role is over. The only thing is that role can be over if he wants to. Otherwise, there is no hard and fast rule that you have to give up once you are perfect. No, perfection has no limit. We are in the process of eternal perfection. We are transcending ourselves, ascending all the time. While we are ascending, we are transcending our capacities. So today's perfection need not be and cannot be tomorrow's perfection. Perfection is, after all, satisfaction. When you were a little boy, you wanted to complete your kindergarten course. That was your satisfaction and perfection. If you completed, you were satisfied and you were perfect, you thought. Then you thought that no, your primary school, high school and all that. So each time we attain to some satisfaction, we call it perfection. And again we see that that perfection is no perfection at all, precisely because there are higher perfections in life. In God's case, He has everything, He is everything. In spite of that, He continuously goes on, expanding Himself. It means He's giving Himself constantly, because His message is self-transcendence. So perfection is a continuous movement. It is not something static.
I recall in one of your writings you mentioned that death might not be necessary in the future, or words to that effect, that the phenomenon of continually dying and being reborn may at some time in the future be no longer necessary aspect of nature. Is that
It's
correct?
absolutely true. I feel that death is only a sleep. You can call it temporary sleep. Some people sleep for 12 hours. Some people again sleep, say 9, 10, while others sleep 2 hours. Some people even may not sleep. They don't continue. Without sleeping also they can continue. So here on earth also we are unconsciously, let us say, enjoying the ignorance sleep. Sleep is ignorance sleep. Now if there is a direct passage between earth and heaven, between heaven, which is this eternal life, immortal life, touches the earth arena, and then it completes a circle. While it is completing a circle, some seekers are on earth, some individuals, or let us all individuals, are tired. Tired, they want to take rest. Then what happens? If somebody wants to take rest because he is tired, then you take rest. Then again he comes up, again he joins in this, he starts walking along eternity's road. Now, at this stage of evolution, death is absolutely necessary. We are tired, we are exhausted, and how many times earthly miseries compel us to pray to God, oh God, take us, even when we are not tired. We are tired, we are exhausted, we are disappointed, we are doomed to disappointment, like this happens. But a day will come when our inner illumination will illumine our entire being. And each experience that we get on earth will not be an experience of failure. It will be an experience of fulfillment. At that time, there will be no death, for it is eternal life. It is the eternal life that is playing here on earth and in heaven. Now experiences, earthly experiences are separating us from the heavenly experiences. At that time there will be only one experience. Now as soon as you think of God, either inside or above. We don't see him here. We are praying, we try to see him here, or we are trying to see him above. Two realities. Either inside my heart or above my head or something. But at that time, no. At that time, what will happen? Look at it, you are God. I look at this floor, it is God. I look at this wall, it is God. That kind. So when you have that experience, there is no heaven, there is no earth. It is all one. Now we say heaven where we have more confidence in God's presence, more faith in God's presence. Immediately call it heaven. And this hell or earth, here you don't feel the presence of God. You will feel the presence of God in heaven. So when you see God here, there, everywhere, in each individual, in each thing, then you don't need death. Because he is everywhere, he is all life. Now we are not aware of the all-pervading life. Life is now broken here. Here is one life, there is another life. That life we call eternal, here this life we'll call earthly life, fleeting life. But a day will come when we are inwardly mature and fully awakened, fully realized. We will see that there is only one life, that immortal life, eternal life. It is like a flow of the Ganges from the topmost Himalayas. It came down, it's flowing and flowing. So from heaven, the same flow is flowing.
When will that happen?
When you are ready, when I am ready, when we all are ready. But it is bound to happen. Only the readiness of Mother Earth is of supreme need.
And would this physical realm continue, or is this a purely spiritual existence that you're envisioning?
No, it will be, the physical will be there, but it may not be the same kind. The physical will have heart and all that, but the shape may not be the same shape, same form. But the physical as reality, we can't deny. It will be an illumined reality. Now the body goes to all kinds of, undergoes weaknesses, diseases, and all so forth. Body is far from perfection. Body has all kinds of ailments. At that time, there will be no ailments as such. it is divinity will permeate and percolate our entire being to such an extent that there will be no disease, no weakness, no darkness. It is all light. Our entire being will be flooded with delight. So entire being naturally encompasses our physical earthly frame.
I have, actually, it's a final question to bring us back to 1980 and the problems of the world. You're very close to these problems, working as you do at the United Nations with your meditation for peace sessions. And it's a difficult question, but it concerns your personal outlook for the prospects of peace and harmony in the world.
At the United Nations, we pray. We meditate. Just 2 days ago, we had a special meeting. We were honoring Dr. Martin Luther King. He is a civil rights champion. There is no race, only one race. There is only one reality. No white, no black, it is all one. So here, at the United Nations, nations fight. But who is actually fighting? Or what is actually fighting? It is ignorance that is fighting, not wisdom. It is the wisdom that brought all the nations together at the United Nations, these 52 nations or all these. It is the inner wisdom that we have to live together. That's why the nations have all come to the United Nations, one family. But then, again, ignorance comes and starts fighting. Ignorance wants to lord it over us. My land, my country, I as an individual and all. So United Nations still embodies the hope of mankind. I as an individual have 2 realities, let us say. One is oneness reality, another is division reality. So oneness reality brought me to the United Nations. Oneness reality brought you to the United Nations. Then all of a sudden, we are discovering in us another reality, division reality. You as an individual, I as an individual. Then we quarrel and fight. But you are awakened, I am awakened. That's why we came to one place. To some extent, we are awakened. So here, the nations are awakened to some extent, that's why they are put together. But again, they are not fully awakened, that's why they are fighting. So hope is that something good in us brought us together. And again, something in us, which is bad, is separating us. But we always, being seekers, I am a seeker, we always hope for the best because our source is all good. Our source, God, the author of all good, will not be failure, far from it. He is omnipotent. Only He is exercising, or let us say, His compassion aspect. He is offering us, granting us His infinite compassion. You can call it forgiveness. I am doing something wrong, He is forgiving me. He is granting His infinite compassion. But the day will come, either through His infinite compassion, He will illumine my mind, or with His justice light, He will compel me to overcome my weaknesses. So here the individual nations, some of the nations are doing horrible things, not doing the right thing, let us say. So either they will be illumined through His infinite compassion if they are aspiring in any way, and if they are not aspiring, then He will use His justice light, and then we shall see justice light will definitely compel them to remain either silent or to do the right thing. In the United Nations, the ambassadors and the representatives of nations are trying to bring about peace. That is their heart's desire, but the mind's desire is totally different. Supremacy. I as represent a nation, and my nation has to be superior to yours. So the 2 realities, mind reality is trying to show supremacy, heart reality is trying to show oneness. And Where there is division, there can be no satisfaction. Where there is oneness, it is all satisfaction. There, about 100 members who form a meditation group at the United Nations, and they come, members come, sometimes sometimes dignitaries and people of the highest rank come and pray and meditate. And they know that prayer is of supreme importance. Inwardly, as soon as they dive deep within, they love one another, they love. As soon as they come out, they forget their inner reality, they quarrel and fight. So ours, we pray and meditate, we try all the time to remember what we see within ourselves and what we feel within ourselves, and the realities that we see within, we try to bring to the fore, and all the time be aware of the realities which we have and which we are. Inside only one reality, and that is peace. Peace is love. If there is love, there is peace. If there is peace, then there is love. So this peace and love, through our prayer and meditation at the United Nations, we try to offer to all the nations, the members, the seekers.
Well, that concludes my questions, and I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining us and sharing your wisdom.
I'm extremely grateful to you. For in you I see an extremely sincere seeker, and nothing gives me greater joy, sense of satisfaction, than to be of service to a seeker, a sincere seeker. For here I feel a sense of divine accomplishment. The boat, inside the boat we see two passengers who are sailing towards the self-same destination. So I thank you from the very depth, from the inmost recesses of my heart, for giving me this golden opportunity to be of service to you and through you, through hundreds of thousands of sincere seekers. And if our interview can illumine even one individual, I'll be more than satisfied. And even if it does not illumine even one individual, I'll be equally satisfied, for you and I have done our divine duties. Yes, and the result we offer, place at the feet of our beloved Supreme Equal. The result comes only in the form of experience. And this experience, either you can take it as supreme success or total failure. But I can take it, your heart will take it, and my heart will take it as supreme success, for here we are only giving what we have and what we are. And it is up to the world, aspiring world, to accept us the way we are ready to offer ourselves. Amen.